Mike, check 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and video games are not an investment. However, I do believe that you should buy the games you like and like the games that you buy. And if those games do happen to be on the expensive side of the spectrum, that is okay as long as they fall into the category of games that you actually like and games that you're going to play. Now, a lot of people have viewed video games as some type of investment in the past, but that's typically speculators. Usually those people move on and they find the next hot item to speculate in. And we've seen a lot of people move away from video games and now they're onto Pokemon cards. But it looks like GameStop has now become the biggest speculator in investments. And the funniest part is that they're not investing in video games. They're not even investing in their own business. GameStop has decided to invest $500 million into Bitcoin. Now, there are a myriad of reasons why this has to be the dumbest thing I've heard in a very long time. But I'm going to start with the most simple and obvious of them all. Why would you invest in something as speculative as Bitcoin at its highest purchase price ever? Now, I don't follow cryptocurrency, and I'm not going to knock cryptocurrency. I understand that arguments can be made for its utility. I know that it is, as time goes on, it's becoming more and more of a legit investment vehicle. I personally have never gotten into cryptocurrency. I'm a little more old school. I'm more traditional stocks, bonds, real estate, things of that nature, precious metals, things of that nature. That's more, when I think investments, I think more of the blue chip, old school way of thinking when it comes to investments. I'm not going to say that I don't have any cryptocurrency, but it's a minuscule portion of my investment portfolio. But when I look at what GameStop has decided to do, and I don't follow cryptocurrency, right? But from what I do and what I understand, cryptocurrency right now is probably either at its highest point that it's ever been, or it's somewhere in the neighborhood of at its peak today in 2025. And I, for the life of me, don't understand why a company that's already been struggling as a company would decide to buy Bitcoin when it's more expensive than it's ever been. From what I understand, each Bitcoin now is over 100 grand, if I'm not mistaken. So, and I remember way back in the day when Bitcoin was worth next to nothing, right? But now here you have a company that has decided to spend $500 million on Bitcoin. And guess what happened to the stock price? It dropped 10%. And to me, as someone who invests in different companies, and again, I don't know all of the stats on GameStop. I don't read their P&L statements. I don't know what their profits and losses look like. I'm not getting into the weeds of their business strategy. I don't sit on their quarterly calls to understand what leadership is doing there. But just as a general average pedestrian, just from the outside looking in, it looks like a company that has zero direction. And when you see a video game company go from focusing on video games, then shifting from that to, action figures and toys, then shifting into graded sports cards and then graded Pokemon cards. Then they launch a retro campaign where they're selling retro video games. And then and now they're jumping onto cryptocurrency. It's like, dude, what is going on? Like, who's steering the ship? Who's the leader there? What's going on in those boardroom meetings? What is happening there? And a few weeks ago, we saw GameStop, completely unload. They unloaded a ton of rare retro games that they must have had sitting in their warehouse. And it's making sense now why they did it. And someone actually commented this on my channel. GameStop was selling everything from the original Persona on PlayStation 1, Misadventures of Tron Bonne. I saw Shining Force 3 on their website, Shining in the Holy Ark, almost every Pokemon game that you can imagine. I mean, rare Super Nintendo games, Sega Genesis games, Saturn, PS2, and I was able to capitalize on a few. I mean, for those of you who've been following, you know I picked up a copy of Chibi Robo. I picked up a copy of Guitar Man. I picked up a complete unboxed copy of Pokemon Coliseum and Eternal Darkness and more. So as a video game collector, hey, it's great, man. If you guys want to sell me really rare games at 40% off their market price, or even in some cases 50% off their market price, listen, I'll take it. I'll take that all day. But as an investor and someone who is thankful that he has never once bought into the GameStop hype as it pertains to buying stock in GameStop, I'm so glad I don't own stock in that company, because I feel like for the last 5 years, every year they do something to remind me that they really don't know what type of company they want to be or what they want to do. And it's sad. It's really sad, because at this stage of the game, whether you like them or not, at a large scale, GameStop really does offer some of the best deals on retro video games outside of games that you would find at a flea market or a yard sale. Or when you talk about established stores that you can go to buy video games, I would say GameStop is even better than Goodwill, because most Goodwills don't even carry video games anymore. Now, most Goodwills, if they do get video games donated, those games have to get shipped to their online store, where the video games on their online website are sold either at market price or in a lot of cases above market price. So most of your mom and pop thrift stores, Goodwills, they're selling games for above market. I actually walked into a thrift store today. They had a Game Gear in there for $199. So, like I said, barring a special find at like a yard sale, or if you get lucky somewhere, most places are pretty expensive for retro. And it's kind of positioned GameStop in a lot of cases as one of the better options at a larger scale. So if GameStop can't get their act together and they ultimately wind up going out of business because they just didn't know what the heck they were doing, or what they wanted to be as a company, it would kind of suck for me, because I actually don't mind buying retro games from them. But from the standpoint of this $500 million investment into Bitcoin, I really wish I knew how this move plays into their long-term strategy for success, or how buying a $500 million worth of Bitcoin is going to help them be a better video game store. And if it's not, then I guess that is what that is. But I'm really interested to know your thoughts. We have a large community here, and I know some of the folks who follow the channel, you guys are familiar with GameStop. You follow GameStop. Maybe some of you are invested in GameStop. Maybe some of you are current GameStop employees, or maybe you've worked there in the past. But help me understand this move, because this is making zero sense to me. That does it for me. It's the Y2K Collector. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take it easy.